now take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Rev Nathaniel W Martin. Here's Reverend Martin.
Good afternoon to each and every one. I'm happy again to join you wherever you are, whatever time it is of day or night or any in-between time. It's always time. It's time. It is time. Our marching orders come from the 5th chapter of the book of James, verse number 4. And what it says is that the hire of those who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of those who reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Those are our marching orders. We are concerned about the working man, the working woman, the working person, because I've been a working man all my life. I don't know about you. Some of you are from the Joshua crowd, but didn't have much, had no inheritance to receive from my parents, but they did give me good understanding. And so we are engaged in a battle. We are engaged in a contest to extract our just due, our just wages, just day's pay for a just day's work, to paraphrase the old adage. And I think all of us can agree that if you work, you got to get paid for your work. Your labor is all you got to get paid for it. I wish I could get an amen on that one. Let us not forget that in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, and that is verse number 14. Look what that says. It says, thou shalt not oppress an hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. Money is not something to play with, and a salary or a just wage is not something to be laughed at. If a person works for you, you're supposed to pay him. I just found out today, well, it just became apparent today, that the average worker at Walmart, get this, only makes $9 an hour. And now finally Walmart is going to crawl up to pay $11 per hour. That is ridiculous. That's a lot of hard work for such little money. And then the money that they give you doesn't meet the need and obligation that the laboring person has. You got to pay rent. You got to have a car. You got to have all of the necessities that it takes just to get back to work. And it is inequitable. When you're making $2 billion a year and you only want to pay me $11 an hour, and they haven't even started that yet. They may yet renege. As you know, they're closing several stores, Sam's Clubs and the like. And so these type of examples, my brothers and sisters, make us aware of the built-in, inherent, institutionalized inequities in the economic system. Hey, we're toiling, working, getting up early, staying up late. Some of us are on call. We can't have a life because they may call us into work at any time. We need the money so bad, we got to get there. That's fraud, my brothers. That's fraud, my sisters. They're fraudulently taking away your energy, your labor, and your life, all to help them make another dollar. And these are the things that God is not pleased with. God is not pleased with us getting a chicken feed salary. How you going to buy a steak with chicken feed? So we have to press ahead. Yes, it's time. I was looking at the statistics, and much as I hate to look at them, we come to find that the black man is now in third place. He's been supplanted by the Hispanic laborers. They now make more money than black people on these jobs. Part of the thing is that more Hispanics are working seemingly than black people. And that's a story for another day. But we can't afford to be third-class citizens in our own land. We got to speak up. We got to get paid. We got to be prepared to go to work. We must demand that we be hired. And we must get an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. There's a lot of discussion about DACA right now, and I don't know how that's going to benefit black people. I really don't. And I have compassion, and I have love in my heart for my brothers and my sisters. But our primary concern right now is, why is the black man falling so far behind economically? As we often mention on this program, Social Security only gives you about 35 good working years. After that, that's it. And if you don't make it during that time, what are you going to have? And the sad fact is right now, my brothers and sisters, that if we work on these little chicken feed jobs we got right now for the next 30, 40 years, even when we retire, we still won't have anything to live on, anything to carry us through to the grave. Most of us are going to still be working from kin to Kate. That means working from as early as you can in life to as long as you may be able to haul yourself out of bed and get to a job in life, because you can't afford to retire. And life was never meant to be like that. Trust me, God never meant for you to spend all your life working. He did say, in the sweat of thy face, of thy brow shalt thou eat bread. But he didn't mean that you were supposed to work yourself to death. And so we have a great issue before us, this economic justice, financial justice, social justice, and it touches every aspect of your life and my life. Because if you ain't got no money, you're going to break in my house. If I ain't got no money, I may rob you. And these type of things are social evils to be avoided. And so we must plan, speak up, and do all that we can to stop this freight train from going over the cliff. Believe me, it is time. I was looking, and I hate to do this on such a little short program, because a lot of times your eyes glaze over when you start talking about a lot of statistics or facts, but we have to look at the facts. Let's take the most glaring case right now. I believe the lady's name is Michelle Williams, and she's an actress on a movie called All the Money in the World. That's a good name. And come to find out that when they were doing some remakes because of some other complications that had happened, that she was willing to come in and work almost for free, keep the job going, keep things on schedule. And then come to find out that she only got paid $80 a day, and that's per diem. That's where they give you that to go to the commissary. She got paid $80 a day to do her remake, whereas her male counterpart, co-star, I think his name is Wahlberg. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But he made a $1.5 million for doing the same remake. Hey, is that equity? And so if you're not going to be honest and fair and equitable when you're paying these actresses and actors, what are they going to do when it comes down to simple people like you and me? And so that's a very glaring example of how you can be defrauded. You don't tell nobody I'm going to come in and help you do something. No, you pay me. If I'm coming in, I got to get paid. If I'm working, my labor is worth something. That's all I got is my labor and my skill and my time. Once that energy is gone, I can't get that back no more. Don't make any deals to help any employer or corporation out. They got billions and trillions of dollars, while all you got is what? Chicken feed. So speak up and hold the line. Come to find out that both of them are working for the William L. Morris Agency, and which takes 10% of all their money. And so they're taking 10% of her $1,000 and 10% of this man's $1.5 million. But hey, if they negotiated 1.5 for the man, they should have negotiated 1.5 for the woman. You can put that in your pipe and smoke it. But these are the things that demonstrate the inequality and the inequities that are daily occurring. These are daily instances. And it just so happens that both of these are white people. And you can just imagine what's happened to the black actors and the black actresses in these movie studios. In order just to have a body of work or to keep working every day, they're making deals. And that is one of the big scandals in this nation, that in order for a black man who's in business to make money and stay employed, he's got to make a deal. He's got to agree to cut the price lower than what the job really calls for in order to get it. And that's not fair. That's fraud. You cheated me. And then first little thing happened, take a Donald Trump. Donald Trump was known for hiring people to do work, contracting with you to do whatever in his hotels or business or golf courses, and then be late in paying you or else don't pay you. And then you got to sue him, take him to court to get your money, and then you suing him, he countersues you, which is an old trick. And by the time it gets to arbitration, because they don't let you go to court no more, then you got to take whatever he gives you. Well, you've been defrauded. And these are the type of things, tactics or devices that the enemy is using over and over. I even heard of a certain politician that was throwing a campaign event, and they hired the caterer, and they stiffed the caterer. So it goes all the way up the line, whether you're working for $11 an hour or you contractor. You got to get paid, because you can't give away your labor. You can't give away your product, your work. You got to get something for what you do. And I don't think I'm asking or saying anything that's novel as though you didn't know it. Need to talk about all of these mudslides and all of these fires that are going on, and what are their impact on the economy of the state of California, and what are the impact upon you and I. Of course, our hearts go out to our brothers and sisters who have suffered loss in these various fires and floods and muds and let's call it like it is, soil erosion. Because if you build your house on the side of a hill, on the side of a mountain, you know going up there that soil erosion is a part of nature. You learn that in science class. And we come to see that the news people haven't really been telling us the truth about these places where the people have lost their home. Matter of fact, in Montecito, where the mudslide happened, and I think about 17 people got killed out there. And our hearts go out to them for the loss of life. But the news media misrepresents when they tell us that that's those people's primary residency. Some of the people who live out there are like Al Gore, former Vice President of the United States of America. He has more than one home. Oprah Winfrey, well-known personality. That is not her first home. That's not her primary residence. Drew Barrymore, Jeff Bridges, all these people live out there in Montecito. Montecito is one of the wealthiest cities in Santa Barbara County. It's so wealthy that out of a population of 8,965 people, come to find out that 8,267 or 92.2% of the people who live in Montecito are white. And you only have about 55 black people that are living in Montecito. And that breaks down to a 0.6%. And everybody else out there that's living in Montecito is Hispanic. Got about 605 Hispanics that are living in Montecito. You got more white folks and Hispanics living in Montecito, in other words, than you have Negroes. And that, of course, that doesn't count the Asian population, which is growing out there in those rich areas. But those houses were purchased by wealthy people way, way back yonder. And they're doing quite well. And when they're crying about the loss of their house, we have to put that in perspective, because in most cases, that's not their primary residence. And in the second case, they have plenty of money before they moved out there. You can't even buy insurance out there in many ways, on many things, unless you really pay a very high premium. So those are the movers and shakers of the world. And what that demonstrates is that no matter where you at, God can make you homeless. Somebody ought to say amen. You laugh at the people down here on the sidewalk in the ghetto, but now what about the people up there on those mountains and hills? Shouldn't they have known better than put them houses up there in them hills? And mind you, there have been earthquakes up there. There have been fires up there. There have been other floods up there. And did they move down out them hills? No, they put them houses right back up there in those hills. So when they condemn the poor for wanting to put their house back down in the 9th Ward, well, what are these rich people putting their houses right back in a fire zone or in a soil erosion zone? Soil erosion is going to happen if you build a house on the side of a mountainside. That's why you have to take out so much insurance, because you know sooner or later, with the water and with the rains, that the mud is either going to come down from up above or it's going to come down from beneath. Either way, you're running a huge risk that you take. But those people are willing to take that risk because they have the money and they have the wherewithal and they like the view and they like to be close to nature. And there's nothing wrong with you being close to nature, but now don't forget, when the coyotes and the bears and all of that start coming in your house, don't call me and charge me for my tax money to get the bears out of your house, because you said you wanted to be out there with them bears. I wish I had a witness. We're going to get in trouble about this one. And so we had to put all of that in perspective. I had friends call me asking me, was I in danger? No, I wasn't in no danger, because I ain't living up in no hills and mountains and gullies and all of these type of places. I live down here on the flatland with the poor people, because most of the time that's the only place they let me live down. They wouldn't let me live up there. You got 55 Negroes living out there in Montecito. That tells you they don't want no Negroes out there. The prices is high to keep you from getting up there. And I trust it wasn't like it was down here when Nat King Cole moved over in Hancock Park, that they went and knocked on his door and told him they didn't want him up there and burned the cross on his lawn. I hope we got past that. But it may be that even that is still an issue of racism that we still have to battle with and confront. And we thank God for the blessing that he have bestowed upon all of us to at least allow some of us to be permitted to have a place to stay here in California. No, none of us is living where we would like to live, but thank God we're not living up on the side of no mountain, and where the mud and all of that can destroy our home. But again, the people who have those homes have the money to put up those homes, and they have the money to replace and repair those homes. So let us cry sorrow with those that sorrow, but let us not be overly concerned about the house itself, because actually in final analysis, the people that we should be concerned about. And as we come down to our final few moments, we want to remember that $1 is not $1 no more. Now, when I was born in 1947, my father had a job, and he was working for the Bowie Building Material Company. Never will forget it. And I would go down there, he was a janitor. And we'd have our dust rags in our hands, because we never let the people see us walking around with nothing in our hand. So you make sure you have a dust rag, a broom or a mop or something in your hand when Mr. Bowie come by. And long story short, my father was able to put us in a house, buy a car, and keep us in good clothes and put food on the table. And Mama didn't have to work. And when he started making $1 an hour, we all shouted, because it was a whole lot of money for us at that time to make $1 an hour. And that means that you work 8 hours and you have $8. Now, you can take that $8 in 1947, 1950, on like that, and you could go to the store and fill up 3 or 4 shopping carts. You could fill up a big old bag with maybe $5. And as I recall, when I came out here to California, and they told me I was going to get a job making $2.25 an hour, I said, wow, I'm making a lot of money. But now, here it is, 2018. How much is $1 worth? $1 is not $1. You can't buy anything with $8. You can get you a Big Mac or a Happy Meal. And that's about it. That shows you how things have altered and changed in that length of time, when $1 don't buy nothing for you no more. And checking the statistics, which I hate to do, but it's necessary, it says that $100 now is worth no more than $5.71 buying power in, say, 1913. If you had $5.71 in 1913, you could buy what it cost you $100 to buy today. And in other words, where before you could go in the store and come out with 3 or 4 baskets and just load up the car, now you have $100. You may not come out with about a couple pieces, 2, 3, or 4 pieces that you can carry in your hand. And so this is where we are as a society. Now, we didn't do that to ourselves. We didn't create that inflation. We were working people. We work for our living. We work hard. We work the same 8 hours, 16 hours, overtime and the like. But while we were working, the cost of living flew through the roof. Inflation took over. All of these brainiacs who make economic policy were creating policies that no matter how hard a working man work, he can't get ahead no more. He stay in the same spot. well, you could put your kids through school with one salary, with one person working. Now you got to have two salaries to do the same job. And some economists said for the average person who has a child that's a baby now, by the time they get that child through college, they will be spent $1 million on that one child. Now, how you going to have $1 million to spend if you can't earn $1 million on these jobs? And so these are the things that rile me up and keep me upset, because I know that the fabric of the society is going to what? Fall apart, because the wealth gap between the highest wage earners and the rest of us is widening. We are in a spiral. The richest 1% make more money than the other 99%. I think it's about 31 people in the United States or in the world, and their wealth, get this now, their wealth is far beyond what the rest of the 98% of the people on the face of the globe are earning. Now, how are you going to catch up with that? And so we have to petition God. We have to pray to God and petition our government and begin to make changes in the way we do things, or in the way we allow these businesses, corporations, companies to contract our labor and then pay us chicken feed, or else abscond with our wages, our salary, and our fees, and leave us high and dry because we can't afford it. Yes, that is why the name of this program is entitled It's Time, because it's time for us to write our senators, our Congress people, our folks in Sacramento, City Hall, and it's time for us to put our bodies against the gears of this machine that is grinding us up to power, and stop this machine from going off the track. America was always meant to be a land of equality, a land where there was enough for all, and we've got to bring it back to that part of America, not that other part about America, making America great. No, to the part that it has never been, where there is equality for all, justice for all, and economic parity for all. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak to you. I like this format because Abraham Lincoln only took 2 minutes to give one of the greatest speeches ever made. And so I feel that we can say all that we have to say in this allotted amount of time, and keep your eyes from glazing over. Again, until we see you again on the next broadcast, stay strong, and God bless you to get rich. Amen.